Yeah, so this is our second webinar of our Multimodal Weekly webinar series. We started the first one, last week, and I saw some familiar face, so thanks for coming by. Just some quick logistic notes. We will meet every single Friday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, and see some of the topics that we'll cover, or our current and as well as future series. News research topics in multimodal AI, any innovative multimodal application in different verticals, any projects that you work on, you'd like to share some interesting infrastructure technologies, and occasionally we'll have team members from 12 Labs talk about relevant tutorials and guides on how to use our product. In the previous session, the Multimodal Weekly, we have Ryan, Fabio, as well as myself, give some talks about the use of multimodal search and video editing, video encoding, as well as multimodal video AI. And for today, we have 3 team members from 12 Labs talk a bit more about kind of some of the use cases with our product, what it does, and how to use it. So we will have Sunny, our lead product manager, talk about multimodal search and video editing. We have Anthony, head of US operation, as well as Ankit, our DevX people, talk a bit about how to use combined queries. And then next week we could return to the community members speaking series, and here some kind of teaser for some of the speakers for next week. So yeah, we'd love to have you come back again. Here some quick notes on kind of the question. If you have a question as you listen to the speakers, you can send them via Zoom chat. And then we also have a short 5 to 10 minutes Q&A session towards the end of the call, once all the presentations are done. Yeah, so with that, let's get started. And we'll have Sunny, a lead PM on our team, giving a brief overview of our product, and talk about how it works.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, James, for the intro. My name is Sunny. I'm the product manager at 12 Labs. Today, I'm very pleased to share with you an overview about how video search has been involved and how 12 Labs can help with video understanding through search experience. So let me start by walking back the hands of time to the early 19th century, where the video invented, and then early 20th century where cinematographic invented, all the way from now to 20th century and 21st century where technology has been involved to really help piece by piece understand a little bit more of video. So you will see that at the very beginning days, the only way to understand a video is by watching through it. Then when speech-to-text technology invented, we can then understanding video through the transcript, but the limitations are very clear, which is only be able to understand the exact match, any words or any phrase I mentioned, and also doesn't include any visual information within the video itself. Fast forward into 1997, when the first CNN-based image recognition was born. We now then be able to include image understanding into extract video into tags or keywords, but here is so very limited, because that in order to understand the video content is a lot richer than just a few finite set of tags or keywords. So, just showing you some example of the current technology. Below is an Azure tags extraction. So you have 200 to 300 labels, and out of which you can then see what labels match with your video. Again, it's very, very limited the way that video, what we 12 Labs thinks is video is very contain a lot of rich content, and as much as we enjoy the video and we are consuming video every day today, we also think that 12 Labs can help with understanding the video with a lot richer and contextually. So I just want to walk through a very quick overview of how the video embedding works. And video embedding is really a backbone of our technology. So with the video, you know that there's so much content into it, and it's so many modalities in the video, not only just a visual part, but also the sound, all of the different information that can help. So we have more than 16 models, AI model, to be able to extract those informations and data inside of the video. And then with that, we will then be able to form a rich understanding of the entire video contextually, not only just a piece by piece, image to image, but also together combined with the sound effects and all of the transcription of the conversation, as well as any specific information like logo, text on screen, and so forth and so forth. And then we will be able to vectorize, create a vector representation of the entire video. And if you can just imagine, if I can have a 2D representation of a glass of water, everything I see is just a rectangle. But if I have a 3D representation, I can see the depth of the water. I can see everything inside and outside of the glass. So similarly, if we can visualize a video with multi-dimensional vectors like what we do here, you will be able to understand a very rich context and content within that video. And with that information, we then power a lot of different downstream tasks, including search, which is the one that we talk about today. So 12 Labs, we provide search capability through the video content, and you can input text. Today we support text as an input, but very soon we will be able to support other multimedia, for example, image. You can upload your image, or you can upload a video. As the input. And how search works is that based on the embedding technology, we will then having two sets of embedding. One is for the video, and one is the embedding of the queries or the image or the video input that you have. And also we will then be able to calculate the similarity scores of the two vectors. And with our own algorithm, we'll then output the confidence score and the level of the confidence level and the confidence score for that particular set of input and the video. So that is a very quick overview of what it was behind the scene. At 12 Labs, we make it very, very simple, and we bring the technology to your hands. So what you have to do really is just very simple 3 steps. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure or AI or anything of that sort. What you need to do is first just to create index that collect all of the videos that you care about, and then creating the queries. And then the last step is to call our API, whether it is a text to video search API or video to video or image to video search API. And so Anthony and Ankit will tell a lot more about our search and how that was in action. But I just want to summarize a very quick, examples of what we can do today with our models. So with 12 Labs model, you can input any natural language queries and not, just limited yourself into like 1 or 2 words of like a very fixed set of tags or keywords. Here, for example, you can see I can search about human action, animals, or any other type of objects. I can also search for sound, conversation. I can also search for events or anything that you can think of in your day-to-day language. And in order to demonstrate how the search workflow, you can interact with. So not only you can search, you can put in the queries, but also you can do a lot of different configurations to really fine-tune the search result. So for example, we provide 4 different search options. Visuals is the search option where you can search for the image, everything that appear on screen visually, but also just a quick tip that visual can also search for non-conversational audio. For example, a dog barking or bird chirping, something like that. So that is visual search option. Conversation, as the name means that conversation is the human conversation interaction, and that could be able to, you can familiarize already with like a transcript kind of extraction conversation. Logo is any brand logo that has appeared in the video, and text in video is anything like handwriting, or any text that we can capture on the screen that appear in the video. You can also turn on and off each of the options, meaning you can combine 1, 2, 3, or all of the 4 options at the same time. And so the search result accordingly would then be able to, we will be able to filter the search result accordingly to the search option that you set. Now going to the other one, which is the search parameters. So this is a little bit more advanced. So if you want to really adjust the confidence level, and by the way, when we output the search result, we also calculate the confidence level for you to easily to use. For example, there's low, high, and medium. But if you really want to toggle, change to the parameters a little bit, for example, I really want to narrow down my search as quickly as possible, then you will make it a little bit more strict, right? Turn a little bit more strict, then only a few results, the top result can be displayed as a high confidence level. Similarly, if you want to have as many results as possible so that you can just watch through, or you can just experience all of them, you will be able to maybe move to the confidence level a little bit more less strict, and so there are more search results you can find. Just a very, very quick look, but I'm sure Ankit will share more when it comes to the API interaction. And similarly, when you go into an application, if you build an application and if you want to show the search result to the end user, you can either show it by video clip or by within the entire clip. For example, if I search for men driving a car or racing a car, I can either get the entire video that contain that scene, or I can search for specific clips within a lot of different videos that have the man driving or racing a car. So here is a very, very quick overview of how our search works. I know I'm just scratching the surface right now, but I'm sure you will learn a lot more as you go through my other presentation today. So with that, I would like to hand over to Anthony, who will be able to walk us through what is the best practice to do video search using natural language queries. Anthony.
Thank you, Sunny. I have to say, it's not every day you get to join a webinar where you see Benny the Bull dancing in front of Jay-Z. So hopefully everybody enjoys that. Did anybody have any questions for Sunny before we move on?
Well, that was great.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about just the way you can search. I hope I live up to my title as Query Master as it was presented. I think it's a very unofficial title, but hopefully I can come through for everybody here. But Sunny, if you could go to the next slide. One of the things that I really love about 12 Labs and using embeddings is the natural way you can search. And I feel like when I'm searching on Google as it's indexing the entire web, or using YouTube search or searching for a product on Amazon, I feel like I'm using human language, but it's not really done in a natural way. I'm kind of like fitting in this like forced format that will work on those different platforms. And that's the way they have to do it, given, like Google searching the entire web, but it's limited in the ways here I have on the screen. And then with the 12 Lab search, I feel like you're naturally searching the way you want to using natural language. And so you can get really granular and into detail, kind of finding exactly what you want. So I'm going to walk you through some tip suggestions, and then I'm going to actually do some live search queries so you can see what I'm talking about. So on the next slide, you can see some of the suggestions that I have here. And this goes back to how we've kind of been trained to search on other platforms where you might just use one word or two words. And I find when people are looking at our platform for the first time, if they're trying to find something sports related, they might just type soccer. And it's a little bit underwhelming when you're just using one word. So first one is just just use as many words as possible when you're actually searching. It's kind of fun to see the different results. And then on the second point, when you're doing your searches, I feel like when I'm using Google, I just use one search to find what I'm looking for. And if it doesn't come up, I don't really feel like trying other words is going to change the result at all. So I just kind of stay with that. But when you're using the 12 Labs platform, You could really get creative, switch out the different adjectives, and you'll see how the different search results pop up. Another one for myself, when I have something in my archive that's really unique, sometimes I'll find a video and just throw it in there, and I'll just play a game with myself to see what search query will get that result to pop up and see how it pops up in different places. And then also like the different time codes change based on how I'm searching for it. The fourth one, and this was kind of surprising for me as I started using the tool myself, is that it doesn't need to be exact. So in a conversation search, if somebody's being interviewed, you can just search for the concept of what they're talking about, and it doesn't need to be word for word. And then the last one is when you know exactly what you want to find, you can just search for it and it will just come up. And so I'm going to walk through what this kind of looks like here. So I'm going to share my screen. And let's see. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Google to start, since I kind of talked about how it is, what the search experience is like using Google, given they index the entire web here. But if I search for race car racing a truck and I look at the first results, it doesn't really like make me think that it's giving me exactly what I'm looking for here. It starts talking about truck racing, but there's really nothing that stands out. And if I do the same result on YouTube, the first thing I'm seeing is trucks racing. And then the next one actually looks like a car racing a truck. We scroll down a couple more, you can kind of see it here. But in the shorts, there's really nothing that comes up. And then these guys are like racing toy trucks. I have no idea what they're doing there. But you don't really get exactly what you're looking for here. And given the amount of videos on YouTube, you would think there would be enough content out there of trucks actually racing cars to maybe produce like different results here. If I go to our playground, and so in this is the playground where I uploaded in this index 34 videos with just over an hour worth of content. And then if I search for that same prompt, and this is what Sunny was talking about with the confidence score and the different options where you can search for visual conversation. But if I pull this up, you can see here the start time and the end time here of the actual video. But we start seeing like where the actual truck and the car is racing. So I think that's a good example. And then if I want to play around with racing, and I actually go back to Google and put race car passing a truck, this one, it's like running into it. I don't even know if that's like a race car or whatever, but again, it's like, it just seems to be getting further and further away from what I'm looking for. Oops. Yeah, jumping over. And then it's like in this clip here, it's the exact second where there's a race car just like blowing past the car. So I think that's a good example of like just how specific you can get with looking at these compared to how we're accustomed to searching on different platforms. We go to their index here. So this one, I put in a bunch of football videos and just kind of give you an example of like, if you're just using one word, you can see mascots kind of come up. But if you look at this is a very objective search. Like right here, I'm showing you like different searches that are not really up for interpretation. It's like, is there a mascot, and is the mascot getting into an elevator? Pretty straightforward and simple. And right there it is, pen hitting all the buttons for whatever reason. And then going back to one of the tips about being like highly descriptive and exactly what you're looking for. Again, this is the start time, the end time of the moment. So this kind of whole thing is the moment that's capturing this search. They think they have him. Nope. He gets away. And the crowd goes nuts for it. That's a great example of just like getting very detailed, very specific, exactly what you're searching for. And then in the previous slide, I also talked about not needing exact search, but it can be kind of near search. So through conversation, and I think here's a couple good examples of that. So my favorite Buddhist monk here. And you can see like, here's the actual conversation.
Is that now the life and death can have meaning. One of the problems with
So he doesn't say exactly what is the meaning of life, but in all the videos that I've uploaded in this index, this is the closest thing to that. And then I don't know how many LeBron James fans are on the call, but I'm from Illinois. I love the Bulls and Jordan, so I'm going to go with this one. So in this search result,
he's always been a clutch performer and one of the guys can take over late in the game. And that's what really made Michael Jordan so special. When the game was on the line, no one was better.
the thing that Michael Jordan doesn't get the most credit for probably would be the fact that he's the most fundamentally sound basketball player.
so in this example, nobody actually says he's the best basketball player of all time, but they're describing traits and attributes about him, which could make him the best one. And then in my last slide, I also mentioned finding a clip where when you know you have something in your clip or in your archive and you just want to find it. This is an example of that. For some reason, this caught my attention and I became fixated on this one. Super random and specific, but if you ever want to find that, we got this video here that can pop up. So those are all objective searches. And I think in the way that we're accustomed to searching, we usually search in an objective way. And so one of the things that I think has been an adjustment for me as I learned the tool is understanding that with the embeddings and with 12 Labs, you can search in a subjective way too. It doesn't have to be just like mascot getting into an elevator. And so I want to go through just a couple examples of that. So, and this also goes into some of the search tips about playing around with some of the words. So in this case, you see it's starting at 4 seconds of a cute dog. I don't know why I thought of this, but I just thought, what if you change it to cutie dog? What would happen? And so it's the same actual clip, but you can see it starting at the beginning of the clip and going to this point. So the embeddings can change from the embeddings don't change, but your search results can change just by like making simple adjustments. And so you can play around, find the different prompts that work best. And then if I search for a dog doing something. There's a video of the black dog, but this one now appears first of this dog. And then I want to show one more quick subjective one of going back to the mascot theme here. So what does it mean to be unpredictable? And there's like a couple search results here. This might be borderline inappropriate, but it's still unpredictable. And this one's definitely unpredictable.
So it's great when the mascots and cheerleaders.
I've never seen a mascot eat a cheerleader before. And then the last one I'll do, and it goes back to the tip of like just doing one word versus being more descriptive. You just do one word. I don't know what video this is, but we get this guy. And then going back to subjective, like what does it mean to be doing something, like a man doing something cool? And as you upload more videos into your archive, the search results will change. So you might upload something where there's a guy doing something cooler than this, and maybe it picks it up, or maybe the embeddings interpret this still as cooler as the other thing. So just encourage you to play around with being really descriptive, changing up the words, being able to get as granular as you want. And, you know, it doesn't need to be precise. So just have fun and play around with it. And then, you know, that's it for my portion. I want to turn it over to our colleague Ankit, who's going to talk about how to do combined search, proximity search, multiple queries all wrapped into one. And so with that, I'll stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Ankit.
I think we have a query request from Michael that
Okay.
we want to give a try.
All right, let me share again. What's
I was just kind of curious as to levels of coolness or understanding of like an ugly dog doing something cute, you know, those types of what, you know, what comes.
Let me share my screen again and do this. And
I'm super curious.
keep in mind
Kind
that
of subjective too, right? My wife finds dogs cute. I say there, it's kind of, you know, less cute, but, or
Yeah.
I find dogs cute.
let's just start. This is an ugly dog. This dog's kind of ugly if you ask me. I don't even know that's a dog.
It would be an ugly dog though. if it
Yeah.
were.
So what was it like? Let's see. I don't know, an animal doing something. Now I'm just going into uncharted territory here. I'm glad my panda video made it, because I thought.
And I was wondering if there was like levels of coolness right on the man thing. They'd like man doing something cool or man doing something kind of cool. Does it understand?
Yeah. I don't know about the degrees, but I'll do something, man. Oh. All right, let's see what comes up. Hopefully this is I think that's kind of an accurate one. Like he's not really playing the drums that well. That scene, like he's throwing something away. It kind of looks interesting, but not so much. So maybe that is like a good example. But then like you still see the water skier guy doing something cool too.
Yeah. I wonder if we could use the confidence scores as a level of degree too, say mediums versus high.
Let's a little bit more strict here. Let me move it so it's getting less confident. So now we move the confidence level. The algorithm thinks this guy's, it's really cool now. So that's a good example of like Sunny was also talking about how you can adjust the confidence level to kind of change up the results. So Young, were there any other queries or questions that came up?
So I think these queries are super interesting because they're very nuanced, and we can see the difference. And Michael had another question, which I did answer in the chat, but around very specific direction or of movement. So the direction of movement, whether somebody is going into an elevator or out, and some specific direction or kind of the motion itself is something, it's not, I don't think it's something that our model would be able to be very good at today. But we do have Marengo 2.6, which is the next version of our model where we're aiming to have that type of specificity in terms of understanding motion. Hopefully that answered your question, Michael.
Yep, no, thank you.
Yeah, I think into like the indexes too. I mean, I think it's an important point. Sometimes people think that we are searching the entire web, and just to be clear, we're only searching the index. And so if you're searching for something that's nuanced, like in the indexes I created, as you can see in one of those, I only created like an hour long, like an hour and 23 minutes of video. And so there wouldn't be a lot of different results that come up based on me changing it. But if I had, 10,000 hours of video, then, something kind of cool, or a guy getting into an elevator or out of a car or something like that. If you had a lot of videos with that kind of content, then you'd really be able to see how changing those terms would make a difference. But in the limited hours that I have, there's only one video of a mascot getting into an elevator, so it's not going to show you the difference between getting in and getting out, probably.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's all the question we have. I think want to start sharing the screen.
Cool. It's my turn now. Yeah, I'm so excited for this. Such a cool thing that I'm going to discuss with you all. And thanks very much, Sunny and Anthony, for making it so easy for me now. I mean, all the basics, you have already laid a solid foundation on all the basics structure. So I can easily build upon it further from here. Okay, so the topic that I'm going to cover is combining queries for searching within your videos. So you already saw a lot of queries and how they are executed subjectively and objectively. And now it's time to see how and why you would want to combine queries. So query is just a natural language query that you input into the system, right? Like, let's go back to the playground and do something. So drifting a red Mitsubishi on track. This is a simple natural language query that you input and you get all these red cars drifting, right? I have set the confidence level to be high. That's why it only shows high confidence instances within this indexed full length Tokyo Drift movie that I've indexed onto this. And if you change this to driving a red car, you see there's something new that popped up. This is not a Mitsubishi, it's a red car and it's not getting drifted. So I have eliminated the word drift. And that's what you see, a simple plain driving without drift. So the system kind of does semantically understand the word drift to an extent, right? So that's so I think that answers some of your things. So the more instances the model sees, the more data it sees, the more it matures. So we are working on 2.6, which is going to be a bigger and better model trained on a larger data set. So definitely it's going to keep improving on over time. Okay, so now you're very clear with how to execute simple queries. We can look into combined queries. So for the same query that I just input, drifting a red Mitsubishi on track, the system does understand these individual concepts like drifting, red car, Mitsubishi, on track, what is a track, right? All these things. But again, the system is not structured to pick up logos specifically when you say Mitsubishi. It doesn't understand that you mean Mitsubishi as logo. So for that to happen, for you to achieve those kind of results like logo detection as per your keyword Mitsubishi, you would have to break down this query into several pieces, or you would have to combine individual simple queries by using something called operators. So let's discuss how that can be done using 12 Labs API. So now that you know why combined query is needed, let's actually go into those operators and see how you could combine those simple queries. Okay, just give me 1 sec. Here, so we are going to discuss 3 operators today: and, or, and not. So with and, so intuitive, you can have one queries, you can have another query, and is like the intersection. Both should happen. So both things should hold together, or either or. So if that holds or that holds, the system will populate all the instances depending upon either one of them holding true, right? So simple and or, very intuitive. The not is a little different. Not is like, in this, the first part should hold, and then the second part should not hold. So origin, you have to provide what holds within origin, and you have to provide what doesn't hold in sub. And then there are different levels of nesting. So what you can do is, instead of having one query in here, you can again use and to combine these 2 queries. You can again use or to combine these 2 queries. And then overall, you can nest them together like this using not operator, that whatever the result of this and comes out to be should be present in the video, but whatever the result of this or comes out to be should not be present, should be eliminated from the video. So that's how not operator works. And that's how this entire combined query structure works, that you have different levels of nesting, you have different operators, you can use them in different ways, having different permutations and combinations. Okay, like for example, in this particular example, someone is cooking Italian food, but you have to search in with respect to conversation. This is just visual. This is just text and video spaghetti. This lasagna is again conversation, so or operator. So either spaghetti or lasagna here, both has to happen, which means someone has to cook, and that has to be Italian food that he's cooking. Yeah, so this is how you can use these operators and combine your queries to get some specific desired results, which is, as we saw, very impossible if you would straight up shoot a very complex query and try to get the same sort of desired result from the system, you know. Okay, now we understand these logical operators. Let's do something interesting with the APIs. So we already saw, like I can do the same thing with API, shooting a query, simple query, drifting a red Mitsubishi on a track and get the same results. Or I can do something interesting with combined queries like this, drift Mitsubishi, asking the system to take it as logo, and for drift, just taking it visually. So audio visually, as Sunny said, right? Or I can do something else like winning a trophy in an F1 racing and then saying that crypto.com should be displayed on screen while that guy is winning a trophy, right? Or there's a concept or phenomena of winning something or being rewarded, right? So these kind of things we can do. So let's quickly execute this call and see what happens.
Quick question on that example with the crypto.com. Are you assuming it's simultaneous?
Assuming, yeah, because the query is and, right? Where is it? Yeah, here. So both should hold, yeah. Exactly.
So that same time span, those 2 would exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Person, yeah, there should be like somebody winning or getting rewarded. And then at the same time, there should be something on screen called crypto.com, like a text on screen. So it will become very clear once the output comes in front of you. So let's execute these. So this is the search result. I'll stop this so that this executes again. So it comes, so some instances come out. This is the metadata, start and time, confidence of the model. And then don't worry about the code. You have to just get the concept right, and then all this code will become quite easy for you to execute, thanks to our rich documentation and thanks to my tutorials. Anyways, so we'll execute this. So start in. So what I'm trying to do basically is getting this output into a Flask app and then rendering an HTML page so that we can see those beautiful video instances. Okay, so if I go here. So this is the logo part. So as you could see, the system only picked up this instead of the other instances that we saw on the playground, and we executed the same kind of BigQuery, drifting a red Mitsubishi on track, right? There were several instances that popped up. But here, using this combined query, we are intentionally and exclusively and explicitly telling the system that, hey, take only those instances that has clear indication that there is indeed a logo on the car. That is a red car. So a Mitsubishi logo on that red car. And we also want to take care that it's getting drifted. So all these things are precisely told to the system using these combined queries and, you know, the whole structure of combined queries. And that's how we get this specific precise output. Same with crypto.com. I can again go and fire something. This one. Sorry. Here it goes, pickling it so that I can pass it to Flask app, and then Flask renders this HTML page. As you can see on his shirt, there's crypto.com, and these are the final winners. So they're rewarded, like they're kind of like the winners, and then there's text in the specific on screen in the specific segment of the video. Same here, there's text, he's being rewarded. So again, as Anthony said, it's like reward is a phenomenon, it's a concept, and the system is trying to semantically understand these concepts and it pulls those relevant concepts from the whole video that you have indexed. So crypto.com again, the guy is saying hi, or just, you know, getting the applause from the crowd as he won. So different instances again. But this time again, we are being very intentional and precise on what exactly we want out of the system. Similarly, we could go on like having different kinds of combined queries, different levels of nesting, and kind of, you know, have interesting outputs. But let's move to something even more interesting and useful, which is the phenomena of time proximity search. So with time proximity, what you can do, let's go to time proximity code piece real quickly. Proximity. Oh man, I'm just not typing it correctly or something. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've uploaded a video of a house, and there are two specific instances in that video. One is the house, there's a curtain that gets set on fire, and then there's a sprinkler that extinguishes the fire. And in the other instance, what happens is the fire just is not set off, the sprinkler doesn't go, and then there's fire all around, and there's a lot of damage that gets done. So on this video, if we execute proximity search in this specific way, where we're telling the system that, hey, detect smoke start spreading, detect this specific thing visually, and then detect the second thing, and which means both are applicable, water all over, that also visually, and we are saying within 10 seconds of this happening, you have to detect the water. So all the instances from the video where in 10-second gap, not more than that, of smoke spreading, the water extinguishes the fire, all those instances are going to be pulled up. And the ones where the fire keeps spreading, there's no water that extinguishes it, they would be avoided. So that's exactly what we're going to see happening. So let me quickly.
That's the order you expected. Smoke first, then water.
Yes, exactly. When I say this and this both has to happen, and there's a lag of 10 seconds that has to be there, not more than that.
But it won't look for water, then smoke within 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. So
I'm
I've
looking
played
for like an order of operations. This has to happen first, and then the thing that happens 10 seconds later. That's the one I'm looking for, not a sprinkler going and then water.
We have designed something called then operator. I didn't intentionally discuss about that. So then operator is more exclusive in detecting that kind of a sequence, where if you use then the first and then the second, and the order is taken care of, and then the proximity of that time. But in and, the order is not relevant as such, but still I see sometimes the system keeping somehow in mind the order. I mean, in this specific video, there was no such opposite thing where, you know, there's no fire and the extinguisher goes off. So there's nothing like that. The order is not relevant. So that's why I've used and. But if, let's say there's some video and that instance is relevant, then you should use then. That's another operator where the first thing has to happen And then the second thing has to happen. And then if there's a third, that has to happen. So then it's designed specifically for keeping in mind that order. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna combine this. So these are the results. I've only taken the high confidence levels. And finally, I'll pickle this. But before that, I gotta, pickle this into Flask so that Flask can render the HTML. And now the HTML is rendered. We can quickly.
Only the heat from fire activates the sprinkler, not smoke. In a typical house fire, only one sprinkler will activate.
If you can see, the fire is, the smoke is all around the place, the water is all around the place, and there's less than 10-second gap, and they're both are happening simultaneously, and there are two such instances that the system has picked up. But the other instances where the entire house sets on fire, I can really show you if you would like. Here, sorry. That's avoided by the system. This is actually
Stop the fire.
This is the
So it
instance
built.
where the whole house gets burned and yeah, a lot of damage happens. So this is avoided by the system. Anyways, so this proximity search is quite helpful. It's quite beneficial. And there are a lot of scenarios where this all becomes very helpful. We already see the scenarios of combined, the utility of using these combined queries and using these different kinds of operators that could be very useful in precisely setting the intention of the query. But if you think about real world use cases, you can think of something like advertisement, for how much duration you need some specific advertisement in some place. So you can use such combined queries very creatively for those kind of scenarios. You can have like day trading instances where you want to make some investment decisions, those crypto firms, day trading firms. Like as soon as there's an advertisement that goes out, then maybe the share price increases. So detect all those instances, keep track of them. That is another fancy way of using this kind of a combined query tech. And then for proximity search, you can have something like whenever there's a goal, you want to do some sort of monitoring, some sort of surveillance, and there's some bad mouthing or some sort of bad words being used, you want to ban them. So, detecting those kind of things within the proximity of the goal can be one use case in the real world. So your creativity is the ceiling here. Just keep thinking how this can be used. Definitely, there's a lot of possible use cases that I possibly can't imagine at this time, but very interesting stuff for me.
That's great.
I think-
So my question from the beginning of the chat, you said you would touch on they're both conversational search. So I don't know if those can be combined. So I was looking for example was they specifically have to say Tom Brady. So that's just a transcript search kind of a thing, but in context of relationships or marriage or something like that. So is there a way to combine something specific to something that's semantically understood? And those two have to exist at the same time.
Yeah, okay, let me again share my screen if that's what you were asking. So we
Just
saw
audio, no visual in my example, just all conversation.
Okay, so no, the way we have structured the system, like just take an index and you want to search anything, right? Red Bull. So here, if you see audio, so when you talk about visual, it's always, let's see. So when you click here, your index properties are displayed here. So this is what your index allows, visual search, which means it's audio visual implicitly. Like we have no mechanism as of now to separate the audio and the visual modalities and let you search individually on those modalities. What you can do is separate conversation from audio visual modality or separate logo and text from them. But the audio and visual kind of naturally goes together, right? Like whenever there's a sound, there's some sort of visual thing happening in general with respect to that sound. So it intuitively makes sense to design the system as per this fact.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with my editor's hat on, if doing a bunch of head and shoulder interviews and it's nothing but headshots and they're yapping for hours, there's not a whole lot of visuals. So I want to pull as much as I can out of the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that-
if I, sorry, go ahead, Ankit.
Go ahead, Sam.
I was just super curious. So if I understood kind of the situation, for example, you want to search for semantic or contextual conversation, but filter by specific words of
Word.
those.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's just a use case of just talking head documentaries where you just get hundreds of hours of just people's faces talking.
Yeah. So I feel like this would be something that you could do.
Or in our forensic stuff that we talked about early on, right? Just a bunch of
Right.
deposition lawyer and stuff. It just, there's not a whole lot going on visually, but there is a lot going on that you have to understand what's being said.
Mhm. Gotcha. I think if you can combine transcription search plus semantic search,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And with proximity, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's available, like we can actually do those combinations through the API, I'll actually have to check, but just thinking about the simple search, individual simple searches that you could do, you could definitely, it is possible. It's just a matter of, do we allow for such combos? But yeah, it's interesting. I'll get back to you on that one.
Again, a lot of my questions come from I'm not the API guy, so I'm just trying to figure out how I can do it in the playground. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'll let the engineer do the API stuff.
Yeah, it's not going to be difficult. Like we have Ryan, I think he's not here, but he is a non-technical guy, but he still used our code pieces to create something really fancy. Yeah, so it's really easy and intuitive to use the APIs. It's just a matter of like, what you want to achieve. And if you're clear with conceptually how the system works, and then API is just, some syntactical execution, and you can always reach out to me if you need any help doing that.
Yeah, I'll leave it to my engineer guy. there's a will issue here. I've just never done it. I'm just visually, oriented as a filmmaker. So.
Yeah, I think we got like 5 minutes left. Is there any other question? Just the rest of the attendees have?
Yes, I think the span-based descriptions you talked about. So Soo-Young that's really interesting, because the way I test a lot of the stuff is I'll upload a movie of which I have the original screenplay, and then I take all the action pieces and I look and see how close the action is from a description perspective, because it's a very rich description of, and because what I see 12 Labs doing is really reversing everything that was done to make the movie. And if you could describe it to me as to the way it was intended to be, then you're getting really close. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Would love to have you as an early tester. Awesome.
Yeah.
You do any music recognition at all? I mean, maybe eventually, SoundHound or Shazam type stuff, but music from dialogue separation, search, give me spans where music exists. Is that part of the visual?
Sorry, what was your question?
Find all the music sections where music
Go.
exists. Yeah.
Like search by music.
Just first of all, would just say, show me where music is, being played. And then eventually it'd be nice to say, oh yeah, this is also, Taylor Swift, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Ah, I see.
But the first pass would be just separate, this is where dialogue is happening and this is where music is happening. Sometimes they're at the same time, but sometimes they're not.
I don't I don't think that our model are doing that specifically, but that's something that we can experiment.
So in Bollywood movies, that's quite common. You have specific, like in every movie, 3 to 5 songs.
Oh yeah.
And people dance, and there's a lot of music on that. So our model would be applicable in the sense that as soon as it sees people dancing, those queries come into play, and you can detect that, oh, from here to here, You have a
Yeah.
song perhaps because people are dancing. But again, if you only talk about music and like there's like people standing and singing, then yeah, that's where we would have to tweak something. It's
On a
not-
related note, I will be going to a Indian wedding in 2 weeks. My son's getting married to an Indian girl, and I dressing for the part and doing all the dances. So this will be interesting.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Alright.
Yeah, I think we close to the finishing point. Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up and participating and learning more. I hope the session was informative and educate you about how to use our playground as well as API documentation. Next week's session we'll have 3 speakers from the community. Nick is actually one of them. He's on the Zoom call. Who's talk about you are using AI to build Meta company, and then there will be 2 other speakers. One talking about building a multimedia AI bot, and then that's the final talk about using computer vision in filmmaking. The recording of this webinar will be available on YouTube, and we'll be sure to send it to all the people who set up as well as on Discord. So you want to watch it again and have any question, you can do so. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, looking forward to next week, guys. Can't wait. This has been a really informative, fun group of people to like talk to. It's like and thanks for like sharing all the behind the scenes of how the sausage is made, Ankit. That was kind of cool to see all like how you're building all the things and yeah, it was interesting to see for sure. But yeah.
Hey, thanks for staying till the end. I think since we have a little time, I would want to like get a quick intro and then like what you liked in this session. Like if all of you could just open up your screen, unmute yourself and would want to do that just to get to know you. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I can give you my first feedback on that. Like I really enjoyed seeing kind of like how you were able to build logic for the queries. So if I were a user like coming into the playground, I wouldn't know that I could use and or logic and then kind of make nested queries kind of built on that. Like I would not have known that. So it would be interesting to see if you can like make really short, maybe you do have articles and this thing, but like here are some like builder helper tools that you could do to build queries. Or if you're not seeing enough results, kind of like slide the confidence slider a little bit to get different things. So like it's really small, like guided interactions would be kind of helpful there. But that was really interesting to see how the back end of how that you were able to build that. So more of that would be cool.
What's your background in short, Nikhil?
I come from a DevOps background, so I did a lot of work with like infrastructure and helping build teams and making getting being able to scale the number of users and your services to that. And now I'm doing a small automated media production company. So I can share a little bit more about that later, but like, it's really fun to see and talk to like really core technical people. And like, it's really fun to kind of like get to know more about that. So that was a nice informative session.
Nice.
Yeah, what about yours? Like, I'm guessing you've done a bunch of technical things like this in the past, but is this your first like video based like thing or?
Yeah, no, I did earlier in a startup called Third Insight at Austin, some sort of visual scene understanding. So flying a drone around military aircraft and then inspecting them for potential defects. So that was a computer vision thing that I did earlier. But yeah, this is first time with large VLMs, visual language models. So I'm very excited for the potential that it holds for the future of AI. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys is like, to all of 12 Labs really, is this is all based on your local data set. Like you have to upload something and that takes, couple minutes per hours to be able to process it. Is there any possibility where I could type in, kind of like all of the questions which with Anthony had kind of typed in earlier, like car racing against a truck. And then if you don't find that on Google, but maybe run your algorithm on existing videos on YouTube, maybe using the keywords from that and saying, hey, we don't have the answer for you now, but we'll give you an answer in 12 hours or something like that by processing those videos. Is that like a possibility, or is that too big of a task to kind of run your algorithm on that?
Well, it is a very big task. I wouldn't say it's impossible, maybe not immediately, but I think, if because what we want to do is have video understanding capabilities be something ubiquitous, right? Be able to influence every, not just very large product, but even everything that we do every day. And so I think the vision is there, right, for sure, to make it widely available. In terms of whether that's short term or long term and how we can do that, I think there are a lot of factors that go into it, but that's I think definitely a very exciting idea to be able to give access to be able to search videos on anywhere.
No, totally. That was definitely a moonshot question, but I was kind of assessing to see how far out was that. Is that doable? Is that possible in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I don't but yeah, that does make sense. You're more focused on the use case that's more in front of you. So
the technology is not a question because we can index any type of video, but I think the main thing is where do we get the video collections, right? So I think one of the ways is to get into the hands of developers or companies who already have large database of videos. And I'm not saying who but you know who those companies are, but the other way is to be able to let the user easily pass collections of videos on the internet to our platform. So we're working on something like that to make sure you can upload the video easily by a publicly accessible URL. So yeah, it's coming soon. So we would love for you to try when it's out and then give us some feedback.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to be a beta tester for things like that. That'd be really cool to see, for sure.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I think we went a bit over time. So I think it's probably should end it. But yeah, we can follow up later. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, feel free to
everyone.
Questions channel if you would like. We are there to answer your questions. Always.
Sure.
Right.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Guys.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the panda eating.